Okay, hi everyone. I just want to thank Matrix and the students and the parents for coming out today. It's a great day out there. I know it's a bit hard being cooped up in here, so look, I'll try to be as short as I can. I'm going to be presenting, well, my name is Phillip Yang. I used to be a student at Matrix probably about 10 years ago. So there was a campus out in the city on Pitt Street, and literally I was the first, I think about 5 to 10 people that joined Matrix. Started there, then obviously expanded to Westfield and also Chatswood as well. I have no shares in the company, this is not paid for, so yeah, you can feel free that this is actually the truth. Look, I'm going to be presenting engineering technology. That's the field I work in. I've been working in the field for about now 8 years. And it's something that is both a passion for me, a hobby, and also something I do professionally. We live in a digital world now. There's evolutions, digital technology coming up from everywhere. For those of you still remember the good old Kodak times, that's a classic company who had the ability to go further into the digital technology, both from an engineering and technology point of view. But because of the lack of innovation, they crashed and burned, so they've actually filed for bankruptcy, and they've gone under. Now you've got companies like Apple, who have come from nowhere, from the garages of Steve Jobs' house, and built their reputation up because of innovation and brought it up as well. So when I talk about engineering and technology, the reason why I want to compare those two companies is because it's actually showing what I'm really passionate about, which is digital innovation. Kodak actually had the blueprints and the prototype for the digital camera, and we know where the digital camera is now. And obviously, they didn't actually innovate and be creative with that technology, and Apple got their hands on it. Other companies like Samsung, Sony, especially Japanese, got their hands on it and just turned it into something what it is today. Just going forward, I want to give a quick background about myself. So I migrated to Australia in 1988. Yes, quite a while ago. I was 6 years old, and it was during the Korean Seoul Olympics. My high school education was at a high school on the North Shore called Normanhurst High School. It's a public high school, wasn't a special selective or a premium private school or anything like that. And I'm really here to push that as well, so people that are at public schools, there's no little competition against the bigger schools. Okay, from Normanhurst High School I went to UTS University, and I did a Bachelor in Engineering and also a Diploma in Engineering Practice. It was a sandwich course, so it was over a 5-year period. Some of my goals and challenges in Year 12. Now, when DJ sent me the topic and he said I've got to talk about Year 12, I was like, well, that's nearly 9-10 years ago. I don't know if I can actually remember much of it. But hopefully what I can present in front of you and show you today is what I've done now and how I wished I could have applied it back then. But some of the goals I do remember in Year 12 was, I'll break it down to two, personal and academic. I wanted to become a professional basketball player in Korea. Yeah, bit random. I'm 6 foot, and back then I was actually a decent height in my grade, until I met all the Australians and everyone else. So that was my passion. I played that 24/7. It was the biggest dream that I had. I followed the NBA as religion. And you'll soon see why that became one of my challenges in Year 12 as well. The other personal goal I had was living up to my expectations for my parents. Now I'm 1.5 generation Korean, which means I was born in Korea, but raised up in Australia. So my parents are obviously first generation. So I've seen them going through the tough and struggles and to where they are now. And I think having that pressure as the oldest son in the family, I had a lot of a burden and a lot of pressure to carry. From an academic point of view, my goals. To break it down, it was simply just get into uni. It's back then that's what everyone just talked about. If you didn't get into uni, you were termed as a dropkick or not successful. It's a lot different now because a lot of the blue class workers are also doing very well, even better than the white class. But yeah, that was the goal that I had, and I guess linked with that was trying to find something that's actually relevant to me, that I enjoy as a hobby, I enjoy as a passion, and get into a university degree that I can go into the industry and be passionate about. Another goal, even from an academic point of view, was living to the expectations of parents and peers. I see some parents here, so you're either here to pressure your children or to support them. But for me, being the oldest brother, oldest in the family, and then having the pressure, and also from an academic point of view, yeah, it was a stressful time in year 10, 11 and 12, especially 12. So going into some of my challenges, personal, not playing StarCraft and other games. I don't know if you remember, but around 99, 2000, yeah, it's quite a while ago, StarCraft had just come out. If you don't know what StarCraft is, it's a strategy-based game, which is very, very addictive. And the function to play multiplayer, so against other people in the world, was out then. I used to dial up through, I don't know if you remember the dial-up modems, 56k speed, and play other countries, USA, I thought I was global, and all those other countries. And it was really exciting because there wasn't that, multiplayer was a very new thing back then. So I actually remember my dad coming in, it was about 3 a.m. in the morning and I should be studying. It's year 12, I've only got 3 months to my HSC, and there I am trying to raise my status in StarCraft. And he literally picked up the PC, plugged the cord and destroyed my modem. I was devastated, but I thank him now for what he's actually done. Other one, playing too much basketball. My best friend was called Spalding. I don't know if you know Spalding, it's the name of a basketball brand. I used to have it everywhere I go. So those two coupled together really wasted a lot of my time, especially in year 11 and 12. Looking back at it, yes, I could have utilised my time better. There's a slide later where I go into what I could do better if I could take back time. The other challenges academically, I didn't focus hard enough. I wasn't the brightest student in class, I wasn't in the top 5%. I was just an average student. And because I didn't focus and was distracted by my personal challenges, or my passions then, I had to play a significant level of catch-up, which meant studying out of hours to hours of who knows what, and not having the ability to break down complex problems to the fundamental principles. What I mean by that is, if you've got a math equation or an English, it's usually more of a math equation, I would memorize how to answer those type of questions rather than actually understand the fundamental principle behind it, because if they change it or tweak it a little bit, I had no idea how to answer it because I had just memorized the process. And I soon found out that was very bad, and I think that's where Matrix really came in to help me. I'll cover that in the next slide. Another challenge was living up to the expectations of parents and peers. You obviously seeing that point being repeated. Yes, there was a lot of pressure put on by my parents, and I think although there were goals and challenges at the same time, I had to really find myself on how to actually manage those expectations. So, approach to achieving my goals. Develop and set SMART goals. Now, I didn't actually do this in year 12. I do this more relevant in my industry now, but if I had known this, I would have definitely applied it in the means possible for what I did, what I was going through in year 11 and 12. So SMART goals, you've got to be specific, define a statement, it's got to be detailed. So for example, high level things like, I want to get into uni. Measurable, something that can have a quantity put towards it, so maybe a ATAR, is it? Is that what it's called now? Sorry, yeah, an ATAR of 90, 95 plus. Achievable. All of you here at the moment really wouldn't be here if you didn't believe in yourself that it is achievable to, for example, get into uni. Relevant. It's got to be in relevance with the subject context. So all the goals that you set, it's going to be directly relevant to what you're trying to achieve, which is the S for specific getting into university. And T, timely. You've got a certain period before your exams, before your HSC exams, etc. So having all those in line for a bigger goal will just kind of plot out your journey of where you want to go. Some hints. I call it the sweet spot. Now, for those of you who play sports or basketball, especially in basketball, when you've got an area where you can just drain and hit that shot continually, doesn't matter if that defender is in your face putting up a hand. Why? Because you've practiced so many times, and the mechanism that you're releasing with is just robotic. It's just, you've memorized it. And I think for me that was really relevant because playing a lot of basketball and also trying at the same time, I had to really find a way to be effective during my study. I only had a little bit of time left because, as I told you before, I'd wasted a lot of it in the beginning. And for me, it was to write down everything in classes or in matrix tutors, etc. And that would help me remember it and also understand the underlying principle for it. So that was just my way of doing it. Isolate yourself if you're easily distracted. I call it the library test. I didn't actually study well in a library environment. I got distracted very easily. So I actually studied better at home. I think because we only had really slow internet and things like that. There was no Facebook or any social media content. I actually found home to be quite a good place to study for me. And everyone is different. Not everybody will go by these type of study hints, but I think it's really about looking at yourself and finding out how effective you are and how can you actually better optimize your time in what you have left before the big test. What role did Matrix play? Okay, it played a role in my life, in my high school life in two ways, both in an active and a passive way. So active being, interactive with the tutors, teachers, etc., and passive way of providing an environment where I could go and spend my time to really have the support to study better. So classes were very proactive and the teachers could relay the messages very clearly. I think it's even gotten better when I look around. And the next one. The teachers have the ability to make the complex problems really easy to understand. So as I mentioned before, I lacked understanding the fundamental principles and applying them, and I just memorized the questions. From a passive point of view, it was having access to resources, past materials and teachers, and having a place to isolate myself or ask peers for advice. So going up to a tutor or a colleague, which was usually out of my school, and not having to feel embarrassed or shy about asking a question, which is very simple. When, why, what? So the first one is, why did I choose to study this course? I did electrical engineering, and it was because I love technology and how things work. I'm one of those guys that aren't very good at putting it together, but love playing with it, like iPads, things like that. But pretty much my hobby and passion was technology, and at that time it seemed most relevant to do an electrical engineering course. What is the study of this course? It's like a tech prison. I went to UTS. Usually most of my time was spent on level 24, which is the UTS study labs. And you couldn't get out of it. They had like access control and PIN codes and everything. Usually it's to stop people coming in, but I felt like it was to stop people getting out. So it was like a tech prison. Now, when did I realise that I wanted to study the course? The reason why I bring this last is, believe it or not, this is the order that I actually found and realised of how relevant the course was to me. Looking back now, I only realised I wanted to study the course after I completed it. Now that's going to sound really weird, but back then there was a lot of guidance and everyone knew my hobby, my passion, and they were able to guide me into the right direction. What I study at uni, sorry to say, I don't apply at all in my industry, but I still work in engineering and technology. But it gave me the ability to solve problems, the ability to break down things, and those are key important things for recruiters for big companies that they want to look for. Yes, your marks are important, but at the end of the day, in engineering for electrical, the industry I'm involved in now, I don't apply a lot of it, except for the basic fundamentals. So looking back, what would I do differently? I think to really review that, I need to look at where I'm at now. So I was a consultant. I'm not a consultant anymore. I actually work for the client. And I'm a technology project manager. I work for a company which most of you know called Westfield Corporation in the city, 100 Market Street, right underneath the Centrepoint Tower. I don't work in shops, I work at the head office. Just making sure. And I'm an engineer or a project manager. So we help build large iconic centres, such as the one that you see in Pitt Street Mall today. That was completed in 2010 October, and I was day in, day out on that project, making sure the contractors and program budgets, all the technical stuff as well, was being managed and being implemented properly for the grand opening. If I look at it, my job consists of 25% on-site, so wearing a construction hat, PPE, it's protective equipment. 35% in meetings, and 40% at my desk. Now, the reason why I love my job is because I have that diversity. I couldn't do an accounting job because I can't be based on my desk 24/7. I found this really suited my personality, and I just couldn't ask for more. Looking back, what would I do differently? So going from where I started to where I am now, I'm going to list out what I would differently if I had a time machine. Realised my hopes of playing pro basketball was very limited. Although I disagreed with my parents back then, I really thank them now. Trying to play against the different types of people growing up, it's very, very different. It's very different, and it's very competitive out there, and the longevity of pro basketball players is actually not that great. Talk to industry workers, specifically about my interests. This is a big one. I really encourage students to look at this. I know it's still quite a fair away, but the more you realise this now, the better you'll be focused towards going into the industry later on. Just a quick statistics. If you look at an average lifespan, let's say 80 years, I think that's 80 according to the Australian Bureau of Statistics, we spend about 15% of our lives studying before high school, at high school 6%, at university 8%, work 52%, and then about 19% retirement. Focus on high school and university, 6 and 8%. That's the chunk that you're going to spend in your life to better prepare yourself for the future. You've got 52 and 19% to live out the rest. So I'm trying to bring that up because you don't want to hinder yourself in those beginning critical stages to affect the rest of it. You go to uni for about 3 to 5 years. Engineering is about 5, accounting and other subjects is about 3. And you work the rest of your life. Not to put a pessimistic approach to it, but look, if you invest and find out what you want to do by talking to industry experts, you're really going to enjoy work and it's going to become part of your life. Right, final slide. I think this is the final slide. Advice. Okay. Invest into yourself. This is what I said about the pie chart that I showed before. You've got 6 plus 8% to invest into yourself to put yourself in a better situation for the rest of your life. I really think it's critical that you have a look at this and go, right, what am I going to do for the most of my life? When's the time to focus on it, to sacrifice what I'm doing personally, to be able to have a better future. Never say it's too late. I went to a very average public school. I wasn't in the top 10% and didn't give up. And I ended up going to uni, doing a course which I later realized was very right for me, and now working a job that's very suitable and that I love. Be patient, the finish line is coming close. I think most of the students here are from year 10 and 12. So year 12, you've only got less than 6 months to go. Focus on what you like and see if there's a link. I really emphasize this point. Not basketball, but if you find out, what you really enjoy as a hobby personally, try to see if you can find a link in a university degree. Talk to experienced people in industry, not graduates. So for those of you who have brothers and sisters who are graduates that say, oh, it's the best, I love it, I'm getting paid. They're great, but talk to industry experts. They've been in the industry for 3 to 10 years. They'll know what's suited for your personality and what your hobby is, and their advice, I believe, is more valuable. Later in your professional life or career, you'll realise the importance of a good education. I only found that out about 4 or 5 years ago, but I emphasise this point, and that's why I'm emphasising invest into yourself, because later on, when you've got other people working around you, working with you, or working for, you do realise how critical a good education is. At the end of the day, university is a piece of paper, but you learn the processes involved to better prepare yourself for the working industry. So that's my presentation. Thanks for coming, everyone. If you've got any questions.
Thank you so much, Phil.